to Cities Skylines. A new adventure for us. Something I played, again, years and years ago, like most games we play. Goodness, what have I been doing with myself? So, let's launch into a new game here. This is effectively a Sim City-esque type experience. Build and nurture a town through its many layers of evolution. I just recently, there's a whole lot of expansions for this. I don't have all of them, like I'm missing Park Life and Campus, etc. But I did just recently get this Green Cities. And Eden Valley here is looking rather nice. I haven't ever seen this map. It's brand new to me, and I'm liking it. So, let's try Eden Valley. City name. Well, it can only be one thing. This early in the morning. Oh, it's taking a while to spell out on this digital keyboard. There we go. Menzoberranzan. The obvious choice. Good morning, and welcome. Alright, so we got Eden Valley. We're just doing right-hand traffic, I'm assuming. That not being checked. We have our name. Go ahead and leave disasters off for now. If we want some variety later, we can mess with that. And while we're building it first, like this does have a full day night cycle, it's lovely. We will, after our city is built a little bit, want to see what it looks like at night. And I think we can turn that on later. But it plays bally hell with the ability to see what's happening during nighttime. So I'm just going to leave it on always day while we're setting up the road structure, etc. And then I don't believe we need any of these. These would probably disable achievements and stuff. I think we want to try to do it as vanilla as possible. So, here we go. There's just one more loading screen between us and glory. Good morning and welcome. So nice to see you guys there. I hope everyone has been staying warm. And that isn't insulting to suggest at this point. Goodness. So we'll want to first get a nice look around to kind of see what Eden Valley holds for us in terms of flat buildable areas, plus resources, plus, expansion zones. We'll take a quick look there first, and then I don't have a tremendous amount of time, regrettably. Let's go ahead and pause that. There's a lot of wind whooshing in my ears. 1 second, let me try to take this down just a little. Just a little bit. Oh, it's still whooshing, but alright. Okay, so as you can see, this is the border, the end of our current area. Words, how slow they come to me. So we have this little square available to us so far, which is rather nice. We have access to the river. We have a little bit of a forestry area and some height, which should be interesting. So we'll come off the highway right there. We'll need to build some sort of an exit structure just to start with. So I've gone ahead and paused it. The game will continue to run unless you pause it. And water will flow, etc. I don't think you can really lose money until you start placing buildings. Everything you place has a maintenance cost. So I do want to make sure we're not wasting any money, so I'll just leave it paused. The first thing to look at, I believe you need to place a road before anything else will unlock. We have a bunch of other kinds of buildings and a bunch of other kinds of roads here. We can see they all have this lock icon on them. So I believe if you just place any section of small road, like if you connect these two, for example, it will unlock a couple of extra ones, like a one-way, which can be really useful. We've got a dirt road if you're desperately strapped for cash. And then there's 4-lane roads here, larger, and 6-lane, that also themselves have a one-way option. So that is great. At this point, we should be able to delete this, I believe, and it will continue to have these unlocked for us. Let's go ahead and make a one-way. I'm going to bring it about, let's say 5 blocks forward. I don't want to waste too terribly much money. And I'll bring this out to match. And we'll switch direction on the one-way. Well, that's very thonky in my headphones. Thank you. Thank you for that. Alright, so now I have a little bit of extra leeway here. Coming off the highway, people will start to be able to see what's around them to the left and right before they can really get onto one of our collector roads. Speaking of collector roads, let's jump up to 4-lane. And this is a little silly when I'm first starting out here, especially since I haven't played in so many years. I should probably just use basic roads, and you can upgrade them later. So I should probably do all of my figuring out with these smaller roads and then upgrade. But for now, I'm just going to make a little bit of straightaway here. So it'll be hard to mess up. No, that's not what I want. I'm still on change direction mode there. Here we go. So I'm just going to give this, let's say, 3 blocks out that way. Not even quite into the mountains yet, into the hills. And then let's go a little bit further out this way. Maybe just to here. Alright, so now you come off the highway, you have a nice collector road where we can place some commercial specializations. Hello and welcome. Yes, this is Cities Skylines. A new adventure for us. The city of Menzoberranzan. Obviously. Alright, so one thing you have to check, as often happens when you're placing roads randomly, and anytime they intersect with each other, they like to put automatic stoplights. You know, just to be safe, and that's fair. I appreciate that. How do you get to that menu? I think you have to go into Inspector there, intersections, alright. So, for example, stuff like this isn't always the right way to go, necessarily. I'm just going to leave stoplights off for right now, and we'll worry about that later. So, you can get off the highway. We need to have both an industrial and a residential zone right off the bat. You can see along the bottom here where my pause date is. I then have money, the name of the town. That'll be population in the 4th slot. And then the 5th slot there is my current, what do we need? What are people crying out for? And there's 3 options. You can see green. The green bar is all the way full. That is their residential need. So everyone is saying, we would like to move into Eden Valley. And so without any residential spots, they won't start to have other needs for, say, commercial and industrial sections, because there's no one living here, so why would you need it? So the first thing I'm going to do here is, I think we'll probably need to make this the industrial zone up near the highway. For now, it's such a shame in this game to start off without any cheats. You don't have access to anything that's sort of like clean energy necessarily. So I have struggled a bit with starting an industrial zone and then having it slowly pollute your whole map, basically. But that's kind of what you have to do to start off. But then later on, to mention it, we will have cleaner options and can start cleaning up our mess a bit here. So for now, I'm just going to make a little space out here. That'll start our industrial zone. And then I want to see what the wind Looks like up near these hills, yeah, right here is probably about as good as you can get for a wind power generator. Even in darker areas, it still only gets up to about 8 megawatts. So we'll have it at 8 right there, and that will power our industrial zone. That's great. The other thing we need to worry about here in the utilities menu is water for everyone. You can see when you get into these menus that it'll show you the direction that the water is flowing. The one thing, probably the first thing you learn when you play Cities Skylines, is that you want your clean water upriver from your dirty outputs. So this is where we will intake water here. Up as high as I can get it near our border. And then, same story. It's a little bit wasteful right off the bat to place your output as far away downriver as you can get it. But I prefer to do that, in fact. And I just recently got this Green Cities. I haven't really played around with it much. It looks like there are some new options here, now that I've wasted money on that. So yeah, this wouldn't entirely remove. To briefly explain, after your city gets going, once there are some people living here, this will start to output water, and the water it outputs is polluted, or sewer water, directly. And so it looks a little bit nasty and brown, and all of that will wash downstream, but it still looks quite nasty there, off the edge of the map. So this is more expensive. It's an eco-water outlet that I haven't seen before. It's almost twice as expensive, and it takes more electricity and maintenance upkeep cost per week than the normal version. So that is something that we could upgrade later. We can keep it in mind. And later on, come back and bulldoze this and replace it with an eco-water outlet. Excuse me. I think that might be what we want to do, because it does take a while, a couple, 1,000 people moving in before it becomes a problem. So I'm going to keep that in mind, but we'll go cheap for now. And then you do have to connect everything to itself. So the input needs to be connected to the output, and it needs to be connected to any houses, etc. And I usually just like to follow the road structure for that. Put this right about there. We'll make sure that anything that gets put in on our main thoroughfare has water, as well as our entire industrial section. I can probably skip a block there. Let's try this. Perfect. Alright, so anything that gets put on here will now have water access. However, our only power source is still this one windmill. And that would be a little bit hard to drag all the way over here to power our water intake. So let's go ahead and place another windmill temporarily here. And luckily, down here by the ocean, it also seems to be quite windy, so 8 megawatts. Fantastic. So you can see the power, that blue outline there is power lines running underground, basically, that get filled in kind of automatically. So you just need to place things in proximity, and then the electrical grid will sort of click into place. So, finally, we may need a last windmill down on this end to power the output. That is such a shame and such a waste. The other way you could do it, if it would cost less than 6,000, which is the cost of this whole power tower, it might cost less, actually, to run a big, ugly power line. 3,700 all the way down there. I really don't prefer to do that. I prefer to just take the hit, and we'll figure it out later. So there is an 8 megawatts here. I think that would probably be close enough, even if we have to... Yeah, perfect. I was going to say, we might need a tower right there, but it figured itself out. Alright, so now we know our water structure, our water industries, utilities are powered. Just make a quick line directly between the input and output. So, clean water in, nasty water out, all connected up and powered. That is great. And we now have $22,000 left. We'll probably want to end it there as best we can. You need to keep about $10,000-15,000 because all of these structures have maintenance and startup costs that will run for a bit before anyone is able to move in. So, let's see here. Right off the main thoroughfare, when you come off the highway, I want to have opportunities to shop. So I'm going to leave a little bit of a buffer here. And then I'm going to put shops, and the idea of these is I want to try to leave them a little bit sparse so that they fill in and create an electrical grid to meet up with this windmill. So I want my industrial, commercial, and maybe some residential over here to work together to start building this whole big power grid. So the biggest a building can be, I believe, is 4x4 squares. So I usually just try to leave 4x4 squares between each and get it connected down the way here. Which is probably a little silly, but that's how I like to do it. And then you can fill them in later with other shops. And it also leaves you more opportunities. Playing a little more sparsely than I used to in my early days leaves you with more gaps to put in, an elementary school or a firehouse or something like that when you need it. Not necessarily in these 4x4 gaps, but just generally, philosophically, playing sparser is always. You end up thanking yourself. So I think that's about as much commercial as I'm going to want for now. Let me see if I can get it just out to there. And then what I would like to do eventually, we don't really have the money for it right now, but I'd like to make this big collector, the 4-lane, curve here in front of the windmill and go back down straight along the beach, all the way down to our output here. So this is going to be one long collector road, probably with more shops there. And so this little ending bit is probably not going to be needed. I'm probably going to need to curve it, starting back a little bit. So I'm just going to get rid of that for now, and then I'm going to place a little residential zone. Let's just go up here for now. We may end up moving these folks out later, but that'll be alright. And probably going to need more than I think I am. So let's just go ahead and create a couple of options. Now that's enough options for now. Once again, we'll probably remove that later. That's not very clean. Okay, so we have some commercial in. Let's go ahead and throw in some residential. And similar to the roads, there are other locked options now, like high-density residential is more like high-rise apartments. These low-density residential is more single-family homes with driveways, etc. So we will have some more options once our city is built up a bit. Alright, so once again I want to leave a little bit of a buffer. However, this is kind of silly. I actually would be better served starting with a very small amount of houses nearer the windmill, because that's going to end up being my delimiter there. So let me see. One more road lower down will probably serve us. Yes, let me just remake these. This is a bit wasteful. Even with time paused, I think you only get back 75% of what you spent on the road, which is a bit of a shame. But this will be much more clean. And easier to delete later. Alright. So, I want to basically have as short a little run of power as I can. In fact, I might even be able to shortcut it even more with one of these. And then Let's try to curve it into the residential zone. Right there. And then we'll move very, very quickly after that. So last thing I need before we unpause is a little bit of industrial. Again, we'll put that as close to the power structure as possible. However, I want to leave a little bit of room out at the end of this one, just in case we need to put like a garbage landfill there, as far away from the good folks as possible. So let's try it about there. And once again, I just want to have this come across the land this way so that we're creating an underground electrical grid. Probably want to get it as close to the commercial road as I can at this point. And so I'm hoping that these, blue and yellow sections will connect up with as little interference from me as possible. In fact, I'm assuming I can probably build like 3 power towers just across that highway exit and we'll be good. So I want to keep residential connected here because that's what we're going to need to put more of in. But let me switch over to electric so you can kind of see what I'm getting at here. So right now we still have our blue sections. Once we unpause it here, the wind will begin, and these should light up with actual power. There we go. There we go, and hooray! Alright, so the wind is starting. Power is being generated. And people just have to catch on that there are roads and zoning available for them. We should see some buildings coming in pretty soon. And it's actually a little bit fun to watch the electric grid as that happens. I don't know why I find that to be such a satisfying part of this game, but any time now. So you can see I'm starting to lose negative 200, negative 300. It'll probably go up to about 1,000 or so. Aha, there's our first residential structure. Probably get down to about negative 1,500 at a time before it starts going the other way, so I hope we left enough of a buffer there in our bank. So our first home is in, and it is going to need a little help here, power-wise, just to start off. However, it's not really coming across the road yet, like to place it here I don't think would quite reach, so I'm going to wait to see if another house gets built that I can work off of. And I'm sorry, you don't have power for just a moment. Anyone else gonna move in? I've got candies. There we go. It's still not quite getting across the road, but let's try it here. Space is already occupied. Sure if that's going to be quite enough. It says no. I am not connected. So let me see where I have so sorry. Where do I have a gap? Right in between there. Let's just do this for now. It's a big, ugly power tower, but it will get our first families warm and toasty. And then we'll remove it ASAP. So this is our very first town structure. Little house on the corner here with a swing set and a pool, no less. Little red mailbox. And some landscaping, lovely. I always forget that pops in at the end. That looks so nice. So it will be a little bit until people start moving in. We should see cars. You can already see cars on the highway, but they should start coming into our off-ramp, is it? Soon. Aha, I forgot to build power, or water pipes over here. My apologies. That would be important. Alright, that should keep them happy for a minute. Just see that icon go away as soon as they realize. Aha! Lovely. Water flowing. Alright, that's better. So, are those my only two? I think I do need to place more than that. Let's go ahead and go across the street here. I'm going to leave a little room in this corner for something else, but let's go ahead and fill it out along here. This should help our power situation significantly. Alright. Just going to let that all be a little bit of an extra lot here. They probably won't be able to make use of that, but oh well. I made the road too long, is the problem there. Alright, let's see if they fill in a little more. We'll increase the speed a bit as well. There we go. And I'm being very cautious here, because that was always my downfall in my early days, was I would lay a bunch of stuff and waste way too much money, and then regret it. And so, I'm being a little cautious, but I think I'm going to need more money than this amount of families is going to provide for me, so I need to pick up the pace a bit here. Anywhere there's already structures built, I should be clear to place one between as well, is usually how I try to do it. So, like, I wouldn't place one there, because that might interfere, but once there's only a 4x4 left, I usually go for it. And since this is built, we should be able to jump back to our power structure here. And these. A little extra moolah. Alright. So, again, these are just sort of wasting money right now. This isn't serving anyone's needs, but as soon as we get a few people in, you can even see it starting down there with just a sliver of industrial need. As soon as these families come in, we should have more of a, but where are our jobs feeling coming in. And that will help that build up over there. So we still have plenty of electricity availability. You see the red and green graph up there in the top left. So far these homes aren't putting a strain on our single windmill, but that will change eventually. That worked out great. Let's see if I can throw another one in here. And here. I think I can leave a little corner space there too. I want to put in a few amenities once we hit the first milestone. That, however, is... yeah, this'll work. Actually, I'm going to wait till the one below it. I always get confused. I'm going to wait till this one is all set. So sorry. Alright, we have our first commercial building going in. That's great. And some industry over here. I did not catch it out of the corner of my eye. Let's jump over and make sure they have power. Just need a little jump. Alright, and I'm sure they have water, but just to double check. Good. How about you guys? This will be the very first of our commercial sector. How exciting. Not a real good place to link it up for now, but I'm just going to throw one here. We'll get past it. Alright. And then they're probably good on water too. Let's double check. Yes. So now, the families that moved in here are now shopping at this local, it's like a fast food restaurant at the moment, but there are other things on the way, I'm sure, and going to their jobs at these factories over here. A very, very small ecosystem, but nice. So I'm down to 10,000. My money is going the right way, finally. Especially now that I've got some industry in. And as you can see with this electrical grid, it's just slowly pulling it across there, just because we placed those in a little checker pattern. We should be able to eventually meet it up with the commercial buildings here, and it'll be all dandy. So once that happens, you have the 8 megawatts from this combined with the 8 megawatts from this for 16 megawatts for the entire grid, which is great, and this will add another 8, etc., etc. So it's really nice, just at the start of the game, to have that crawling expanse to sync up your different areas. That's another thing that I used to create a little area for industry, and I'd create some residential, and then I wouldn't do anything to link them up, and I would run into problems later as they all had their own power shortages. So this is great. As soon as there's a bit more commercial need, this should start coming down the line. And I guess I'm just going to need to put more industry in is their biggest one for now. Go ahead and pause it again for a second. So I'm not sure how close to the highway I want to get these industrial buildings. I'd prefer to leave them out, like, in their own zone here. So let's start filling this in a bit. This would be so much easier if I had a keyboard and mouse, but I don't. I don't have such things. Alright, a couple more factories here. Later on, we'll get some abilities to, like, change. Right now, everything's just defaulting to big, ugly smokestack factories. But we will have the ability later to change, like, what sort of industrial area this is. Maybe we could even change it into a forestry area or something. That's another thing I didn't really check is, what are our natural resources here? So we have some forestry. We have some farmland across the river that we do have access to. That's nice. Really fertile land out there for a farming area. And then if we can get that square next, because you can't purchase additional squares later. If we can get that square, that is very fertile land. There's a little bit of ore around the hills. Okay, so we have some mining opportunities maybe. And no oil in my square, but seeing some oil down there, for sure. Interesting. So yeah, this isn't a bad farm spot at all. If I could get, like, these 2 squares, we'd be in farming business. Thanks, Eden Valley. Alright, so I'm losing 500 now. That went down from about 1,000 real quick, and I still have almost 10,000 here. So I think we're going to make it. I think we're going to make it past the point where your city would fail, as many a city of mine has failed in the past. So we should actually have a viable place to live coming up here pretty quick. Shocking as that seems. So there's less of a demand for jobs. That last one coming in here now will probably take care of them. So let's put in a couple more houses just to be proactive. Probably put one in here. We have our 2 corners of goodness. And let's go ahead and do this. Oh, fine. You figure it out. That should be fine, and then just to start it moving across the way, too, I'm going to place one here. And here. That need is high. You can see them immediately start construction. That's what we like to see. So you can actually see there's, cars, there's people getting out of the cars and going into their homes. That's all, like, legitimate For example, oh, there's a guy biking even. That's great. You can put in like pedestrian paths, you can put in biking paths, you can make certain areas of the city bike only or restrict like industrial heavy traffic. Ah, darn, I'm missing a water pipe up here. While I'm rambling, pardon me. I can probably put this here. Alright. Extra water for the good folks. Sorry about that. That's nice. Alright. So do I still have unused... Yes, I still have 3 slots there. And no one's really shopping that much. But that's alright. I'm sure our output is working now. You can see our sewer water coming out. Seems to be taking care of itself. Ah, another commercial building. That's great. Really want to link these two up. Okay, they already filled in all of our houses. We're gonna need to give them more. Let's go for it. One line extra there. Get out of here. All right. I think I can put one here safely. And here. Perfect. That is filling out nicely. Man, I have missed this kind of simulation game. It is so nice to be back in it. Thank you guys for coming along for the journey with me. I am hoping that this will give us all sorts of fun opportunities for streaming in the future. And then I know we ran a poll on the Discord to see if it was this or Sims 4 that there was more of an interest in streaming away, and there's interest in both. So at some point I'll have to jump down the Sims 4 path as well. Not to worry, we'll get to it. Alright, I just went positive there. You can see now I'm making plus 38, plus 56, plus 68, so we now have a profitable, not just viable, but profitable city. So that is fantastic. That's sort of the first bar you have to clear there. It's just being able to not lose all of your money right off the start. So you can already see this starting to happen here, that where there isn't anything built, there's some nice green grass. However, near the factories, it's starting to decay and become dirt. That is just due to the pollution coming out of these smokestacks, and that will continue to grow and spread, regrettably, until this whole area is just a dirty industrial zone. So that's sadly going to be the case until we get further along in our population milestones to where it unlocks cleaner industry actions and like specializations for industry, which I don't believe I currently have any access to. Looks like 440 might be my first population, and we're not far off from there. We're at 320 now. You start to see where our factories are saying, we need more workers. Why isn't anyone moving in? So, it's all a bit of a juggle, a bit of a balance. I may at this point be able to remove this, yes, see the electric grid is extended under this road here, so I don't need this anymore. Which is great, because these are just ugly in the overworld. which is also the name of my autobiography, if you were curious. So I'd really like for this one across the street here. I have one more slot built here, waiting, and I should be able to make like a tiny little power structure to it once it goes in, and then remove this one as well. We're 2 slots away from meeting up over here. That's fantastic. This is really coming along well. I don't want to give them any other opportunities to build commercial stuff until they've filled out these last 3 slots. Splots? Yeah, okay. Spaces and slots. Makes sense. So we are just going to need more residential. Regrettably, I was hoping not to put too many people up in this corner, but we need to. And that's okay. It is a nice corner. Plan for the future there. Alright. Residential. So at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and give them the whole run of it. We've done our nitpicking down closer to the road. Now I don't really care. Enjoy. And welcome. They should have plenty of power because they're next to the existing neighborhood. There we go. Let's go ahead and give this a pause. We should now be able to rework this. For just a little one. Alright. So I'm very glad we got to this point. I'm going to run out of time fairly soon, but we do have a nice main thoroughfare with a commercial sector that's to be filled out, an industrial zone off and running, dirtying up the planet, and many, many homes, all filled with happy folks who have exactly nothing to do. That's another thing we're going to need to work on once we level up here, is there are no luxury or recreational activities or places. But we'll get there. They're just enjoying the scenery for the moment. Alright. This is the first milestone, a little hamlet, 440 people, which unlocks taxes, loans, garbage collection, healthcare, education, as well as all the resulting buildings like elementary schools, medical clinics, landfill sites. That is awesome. So next population milestone is at 900, and that's where you can first get that new area. That's like the next square over, or whatever. It'll let you pick. So that is awesome, and it also gives you a little bit of money. You can see we're up to 28,000 now. Those milestones are quite lucrative. So we should be able to put in our little corner that we left near the residential zone, an elementary school to get the good people smartened up real nice. I could even put it across the way from a residential zone. That'd be fine, but it fits in so nicely here. I'm just gonna do that. Alright, so we have some elementary school availability for those good people. How much would a clinic be? Well, 10,000, so we'd have 8,000 left, and they're not really, like, having that many health issues yet. You can see, however, we're starting to have garbage collection issues. That's why we left a little spot over here, which I'm probably going to need to move those power lines for. But we now have the garbage section, which has a landfill site for 4,000. And the problem with a landfill site, as I mess up my headset, excuse me, the problem with a landfill site is that once you place it and the first bag of trash goes in, most buildings you can pick them up and move them for a small cost, or a not so small cost. But garbage landfills, if there is garbage in them, they cannot be moved, and they also pollute quite heavily. So if you place it in the wrong position, it's very, very difficult. You actually have to switch it to empty mode, and then trucks have to empty it to another landfill, and then you can move it. So When you're placing your first landfill, you just want to make sure you don't intend to move it for a long time. And then this is a new option to me, this $16,000 recycling center. Can recycle different kinds of waste, making less garbage pile up. However, does it... Yeah, it does have garbage truck capacity. So that would be very attractive to me. I would prefer not to pollute if possible, but I think it's just going to be a little bit too expensive for now. So let's just place a landfill, and let's see if that reaches... Yes, the electricity now reaches just fine. So this is not smart. What I've just done is the garbage trucks all will spawn on this road right in front of this thing, and they'll all have to go down this way and down the collector, which isn't too bad, and it's not that big a city, so that's going to work fine. However, you really never want to have your landfill on, say, a cul-de-sac, because the trucks should be able to go both ways in order to more efficiently spread out. So say, like, if this guy has some garbage to pick up, no big deal if a truck comes down this way and grabs it. However, if this guy has some garbage to pick up, he's passing all the way by that first collection point just to get that, and the AI can kind of mess itself up. So the more ways that you have to get your garbage trucks around, the better. And so for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and build a little structure up here. And I'm not sure exactly the right way to do this. Maybe I can start from over here for better effect. Yeah, that'll be good. So I want to do maybe to there. And then as close to this as possible. Let's take it up a level. Maybe it can go all the way. Yeah, okay, that'll work. And back down. So now, just in case they need it, the garbage trucks have a way directly into the residential zone across the highway there. And that'll also just help with our general traffic. People getting to work now have the main collector road to get to the factories, and then if you're late, oh, hurry up along this back road. There we go. Alright, connect this up all again. That's a little silly, but oh well. I think I'm just gonna put it here. In fact, it's so silly. Just looks a little less strange to me. Okay, so we have garbage collection. Let's see if this gets rid of this icon. You can see the trucks beginning to spawn. One went that way to our secret road, the other the other. That's exactly what I was hoping for. Alright, so people will have trash collection now. It does look like they're needing a few more jobs, and this is almost entirely filled in. There's the first garbage truck coming down the street. Yep, he's got it. That is so much fun to watch. Alright, so we need more jobs. Let's fill in a few more of these slots. And then I'm going to be about out of time, regrettably. I wish it were not so. I'm going to leave a little buffer room on the road. I don't want to pollute too far down into this main area, what will be our next expansion strip. So let's fill in some of these. We can also, I believe, rename roads and stuff. Like you see these Howard Street or Ashley Street, Richardson. I believe those are just randomly generated, but you can make them anything. So if anyone has a particular street they like, and a name to call it, I'm all ears. There should be plenty of jobs for right now. Just let that fill in a bit. And then that'll increase the commercial need as well, so we're getting very, very close. If I can just get that one to pop, we can create another power thing here. Power line. Oh, that would be great. But this is really coming along well. Aha, is that it? Yes. So we should have as good as we're going to get now. I'm going to try to take it up just a little. And then... there. Hopefully we can find a way to fill that in a little better. But now we should have 2 windmills as part of the same electric grid. All in a line there. So now we can start putting in more commercial along our main commercial thoroughfare. And the next thing I'm probably going to want to do is build out that road to create our next thoroughfare. Let me see if we have enough money for that curve, in fact. I'm sure we do. Get back to 4-lane and give it a pause just in case. We'll go curved road and... it's not tremendously... I want it to be as smooth of a curve as possible. Let's try that. So just at the end, after you have the option to go up into the residential section, all the way around. Let's see how straight this ended up. Not bad at all. I think that'll work. So, we don't really have the money to build that all out just yet, but we have the money to start it. And it doesn't need to be curved anymore. There we go. So we'll continue expanding the commercial zone down along this road. I'm hoping we'll have enough room along the coast for a couple of parks and piers, maybe, some fishing. And a couple more houses as well along the waterfront. Oh, won't that be nice? So we've got that. We'll start building that all the way down here. This is our ore area. If we unlock mining, we have access to that. There's also all this forestry here if we want to build a sawmill or something out in this corner. And then if we can build a bridge across the way, this is our fertile farming land off in this corner. So that'll be another really good agriculture industry. This is going to be our dirty area for a while yet. We'll work on that. And we already have a couple of routes for people to go. Really looking nice. So, is there anything else we need to put in here before moving on? I don't think so. We have an elementary school. We don't have a clinic still, but now I can't afford it. Hopefully soon. I think that's probably going to be a pretty good place to leave everyone for now. Though I am sorry, it's a bit of a short session, 54 minutes here. But we will be back, likely again and again, to continue expansion. Looks like we're going to need some more residential options soon. And I'm going to need to figure out where I actually want like a big expanse of residential. I'm not sure where it would be nicest to live besides kind of along the water here. I would prefer to have the houses higher up, like more of a neighborhood on top of a hill, but we don't have many places for that just yet. There really isn't any buildable space up here. Though there is a little. So we could have a collector road, say, or not a collector road, just a local road coming up along here where the incline isn't very severe, and then curve it up here and try to put in like a special building, like an observatory or something up here would be really nice. So we'll definitely be able to make use of these hills, but I don't think it's going to be for residential primarily. I cannot wait. This is a really nice spot. So, I will be back sooner rather than later, and thank you very much for your patience until then. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing how our little Menzoberranzan turns out. It's going to be fun. I wish I could wave at you. I can do this. This is about as much as I can wave at you. Bye. I love you. Take care of yourself, and others if possible. We'll be back in the town very soon. Smooches.